We have just received confirmation that the big PS5 reveal event that we've all been waiting for will be happening imminently. Today, I'm going to give some of my thoughts on what I'd like to see from this event. What new info should we expect? How should Sony themselves be presenting the PS5 to the public as opposed to the strategies used by their competition? And of course, most importantly, what games can we logically expect to see, hopefully running in real time on PS5 hardware? My friends, it is time to get hype. Let's not waste any more time and get right into it. First things first, we are probably going to get our first look at the actual box itself. I'm honestly hoping there's a solid departure from the look of the PS4, if for nothing else, to allow for better cooling and a less loud PlayStation. That definitely seems to be one of Sony's priorities based on the tech talk, so I'm actually really interested to see how exactly they'll tackle that issue and what form the box will take as a result. When thinking about the aesthetic of the PS5, let's also consider how much of an evolution we're seeing with the controller. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the box itself will be both black and white, much like the controller, though I'd personally love a solid white or solid black option as well. What I'm not expecting is a date or price. There is so much in flux behind the scenes when building up to a console launch, and that's especially the case this year with COVID-19. I think both Sony and Microsoft are going to wait as long as possible before revealing a concrete release date, a launch price for the hardware, and most importantly, opening up pre-orders. With all the uncertainty in the world right now, announcing a price that's too high or opening pre-orders at a time where people maybe aren't so willing to spend hundreds of dollars on a new video game system could get the next generation started on the wrong foot for Sony or Microsoft. Neither want to come out of the gates with a weak start. Even in a normal year, we don't often get date or price information until later in the marketing cycle. And I think with this event in particular, Sony is really going to want to focus on the games first and leave people excited with mind-blowing next-gen visuals. So with that, let's get into the games. What games should we expect to see from this event? I believe Sony's overall presentation style will have a major focus on next-gen exclusive games. This is completely contrary to Microsoft's approach, who is promising primarily cross-gen experiences as we enter the launch window of the Series X. This means certain games will be held back by the vastly underpowered base Xbox One hardware, and honestly, that's no way to sell people on a new, probably expensive video game system. Sony already came out of the gates plastering their name all over that Unreal Engine 5 tech demo. They want to be associated with the absolute cutting edge, and I think they'll continue that style of presentation when it comes to the PS5 here with this event. So, the games. Up first, I have two games that I consider absolute locks for this event. Two games that will be PS5 exclusives that will really show off the power of the new hardware and will release either at launch or in the launch window. And the first is Bluepoint's new game. We've already received confirmation that they are working on a big new title for PS5, and the mission statement on their website even tells us that their latest project aims to define the visual benchmark for the next generation of gaming hardware. Of course, Bluepoint is known for their incredible work on remasters and remakes, the latest being the Shadow of the Colossus remake for PS4, which looked absolutely sublime. In my opinion, it remains one of the best looking games on PS4, and one of the most lovingly faithful game remakes ever. So what's next from Bluepoint on PS5? Tons and tons of rumors have been floating around for years at this point, but I'm gonna go with Demon's Souls. The game is an absolute classic, but sadly seems trapped on the PS3 without even a remaster appearing this generation. The 720p visuals are tough to swallow here in 2020, but I was actually able to get the game working in 4K on the incredible RPCS3 emulator. It still looks fantastic, which is a testament to From Software and the artists who worked on the game 10 plus years ago. But could you imagine this game getting the full Bluepoint treatment on the all-new PS5? I'm expecting legitimate greatness. One of the best games ever will also become one of the best looking games ever as well. Expect the Demon's Souls remake to bring the crazy hype that only the Souls fanbase could provide, with visuals that push the PS5 harder than any other game we see. Though there is another first-party PlayStation Studios team that might take offense to that statement. Of course, I'm talking about Guerrilla Games. Guerrilla was right there at the PS4 reveal event in 2013, stealing the show with a first look at Killzone Shadow Fall. Honestly, the game still holds up today when it comes to visuals, and that was a PS4 launch game. Back then, it was one of the first true next-gen experiences where you looked at the gameplay and felt like there is no way the PS3 or 360 could possibly handle a game that looks this good. This time around, I'm expecting Guerrilla to show up and blow our minds in a very similar fashion, with Horizon Zero Dawn 2. 2017's Horizon remains one of the best looking games of the generation, in my opinion right up there with Red Dead Redemption 2. It also sold over 10 million copies, so there's no doubt that a sequel is in the works, and Horizon will become a household name in the Sony family going forward. Guerrilla's unbelievably beautiful Decima engine, which also powered Death Stranding, will be making the jump to next gen, and as I mentioned in my Unreal Engine 5 video, I think there's a good chance that with Horizon 2, we see actual gameplay running on real PS5 hardware that looks better than that tech demo. That's how much I believe in Guerrilla Games, their amazingly talented artists, and their ability to pump out games that visually are unmatched by damn near anyone else in the entire industry. If any game is going to absolutely steal the show and deliver on that promise of truly next-gen visuals, it'll be Horizon 2. From there, I think things get a little more murky. Or let's say a little more fun. I'll call these the maybes. And the first maybe is Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man on PS4 is, in my opinion, one of the finest games of the entire generation, and easily one of the best looking games as well. Spider-Man is also one of the biggest brands in the world, and if you want to get people excited about the new PlayStation, exactly 5 seconds of Spidey swinging around a fully realized New York City running on the PS5 will do just that. I'm sure as soon as the first Spider-Man game was deemed a success, Insomniac immediately began work on the sequel, and Sony themselves have basically teased us time and time again about how great a game like Spider-Man would be running on this new hardware thanks to the super fast SSD. I mean, we had Mark Cerny talking about Spidey on PS5 all the way back in April of 2019 with that original Wired article. While it might not be ready for the launch window, a simple tease of Spider-Man on PS5, hopefully confirming Venom as the main antagonist, would be ridiculously hype. Another first-party Sony franchise that is heavily rumored to appear at this PS5 event is Gran Turismo. Amazingly, the franchise went the entire current generation without a new numbered entry. Though Gran Turismo Sport has been successful, it really feels like this franchise has not managed to capture the same kind of excitement it once had during the PS1, PS2, and PS3 eras. That could all change if Gran Turismo 7 is announced as a PS5 exclusive. Polyphony Digital has always pushed the absolute limits of what's possible visually with the Gran Turismo games, and given some of the new tech available on PS5, like ray tracing, we could be looking at near photorealism with Gran Turismo 7. I would love to see the game pop up at the PS5 event. Speaking of rumors, we have to talk a little bit about Silent Hill. This one's been a bit of an emotional roller coaster, which is usually the case when it comes to Konami and the possibility of them actually releasing a single game at all these days. Ever since PT was released and Silent Hills was announced, there has been a newfound excitement surrounding the franchise that has not been seen since the PS2 era. Sadly, we all know how the story ended there. With Kojima's departure from Konami, the project was cancelled and the Silent Hill franchise has been dormant since 2014. But now rumors are floating around that Sony has come to the rescue and has kickstarted a soft reboot of the franchise, supposedly between Sony Japan and Konami, with key members of Team Silent a part of the project as well. Konami representatives have since denied these rumors, but insiders insist the game is in fact in development. The Silent Hill DLC just announced for Dead by Daylight is just more fuel to the fire. I think we'll learn the truth about the Silent Hill reboot and whether it's happening or not at this PS5 event. There are so many announcements and streams planned for the summer that it's hard to say whether third parties will tether themselves to Sony's event, which is guaranteed to draw a massive amount of eyeballs, or wait tight and reveal their new games with their own dedicated stream. Both strategies have their pros and cons, but I do think we'll see some big third-party titles make a major splash at Sony's PS5 event. I know it's a long shot, but one game I'm hoping we see at least a little more of at the event is Starfield. We know that Bethesda's new IP has been in the works since at least 2018, and at this point, the next-gen consoles will probably act as the lead platforms for the game. Bethesda has confirmed that with the cancellation of E3, they will not have a digital event this summer. Could this mean they'll be piggybacking on a show like Sony's to share new info on their upcoming games? Or do they just have nothing to share? Come on, that's not exciting. Only hype today. But really, I'm just being logical here. Bethesda has already gone an entire generation without an Elder Scrolls title. If they want to release Elder Scrolls 6 on PS5 and Xbox Series X, we need to get our hands on Starfield first. How much longer could they possibly wait here? Personally, I'm expecting a late 2021 release for Starfield, which would probably mean a 2025 launch for Elder Scrolls 6? Maybe, if we're lucky. Here's hoping we see something Starfield related at the PS5 event, because Bethesda really needs to get that hype train rolling. Even though next-gen exclusives will be the big focus and the most eye-catching material from the event, I don't think Sony will entirely abandon cross-gen titles when marketing the PS5. The fact of the matter is this: PS4 has an absolutely massive install base of over 110 million. Third parties are not going to want to abandon such a huge group of players, so it goes without saying that a ton of big, exciting games we'll get our hands on in 2021 will be cross-gen. Sony would be doing themselves a disservice to ignore those games entirely. One of those cross-gen third-party games I think we'll see at the PS5 event is Resident Evil 8. Both RE7 and the RE2 remake were both announced at Sony E3 press conferences, leading to a launch the following January. I expect the exact same thing here with RE8. It'll be a cross-gen release, but we'll be seeing it running in an enhanced form on the PS5 during this event. Expect to get your hands on the game in January of 2021. Now, if they really wanted to make a big splash, they'd give us a taste of the RE4 remake. But I think that one might be a little too far off. But could you imagine? Just a logo, and I would lose my damn mind. It wouldn't be a big gaming event speculation video if I didn't mention Rocksteady Games. Surely this is the event where we finally learn what they're working on. Hey, I've been saying that line every year for 5 years, so why stop now? Though there does seem to be a bit of smoke to this fire this year in particular. According to Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, Warner Bros. Apparently had an event planned for E3 where Rocksteady would finally share their new game with the world. Of course there'd be a worldwide pandemic, completely ruining all of those plans. Luckily, the Warner Bros. Logo can be found on the Summer Game Fest website, which leads me to believe that Rocksteady will finally drop the bomb this summer. Why not do so at the PS5 event? I think that would be a pretty big statement on their part, even if the game is cross-gen. Arkham Knight still looks fantastic, especially considering it's a 2015 game, so I'd love to see Rocksteady's new game, which surely pushes the limits of the current-gen hardware, taking advantage of the additional horsepower the PS5 provides. For as long as I could remember, Ubisoft has been a strong supporter of console launches. Like seriously, every single console launch, usually with more than one game. While Microsoft was the first to reveal gameplay from the new Assassin's Creed title, I think we'll see Ubisoft pop up at Sony's event with Watch Dogs Legion running on a PS5. And when I say running on a PS5, I mean gameplay. actual gameplay. I think Sony's really going to insist on that because they obviously don't want to make the same mistake that was made during Microsoft's show a few weeks ago. I've always associated Watch Dogs with cutting-edge visuals ever since that infamous supposed next-gen footage from E3 2012. It's funny that now visuals like that can easily be attained. So here's hoping we see some real gameplay footage from the next-gen version of Watch Dogs Legion that looks even better than the trailer we saw from E3 2019. Over the last generation, PlayStation has become the place to play Call of Duty, with the PS4 version often getting first dibs on timed exclusive content. The relationship between Activision and Sony has always been clear at events like this, with the new entry in the Call of Duty franchise often announced or at least shown off at Sony's E3 press conference. This year, it wouldn't shock me if we saw the new COD either announced during this show, or we saw the premiere of gameplay footage running on real PS5 hardware. 2019's Modern Warfare was stupidly impressive visually, so I'd expect the new COD running on next-gen hardware to completely blow us away. The big rumor going around is that Black Ops will be rebooted much like Modern Warfare was last year, taking full advantage of that sexy new engine. That sounds good to me, as I've always had a lot of fun with the Black Ops titles. For Sony, it only makes sense to show off your new hardware with what is undoubtedly going to be the best-selling game of this holiday season. I think there's a good chance that people buying a PS5 walk away with the new Call of Duty more than any other PS5 game on the shelf. To wrap things up, let's come full circle. That's right, I'd like to see another From Software title pop up at the PS5 event, and that is Elden Ring. You might be thinking, do we really need to see a remake of an old From Software game and the new From Software game at the same show? The answer is yes, of course we do, because From Software is amazing. And while you may not have noticed, the Souls franchise has gone from the most niche of niche, the hardest of hardcore, not even localized at first, to selling over 10 million copies of Dark Souls 3 this generation. To put that number into perspective, only one other Japanese game this generation has sold 10 million copies, and that is Monster Hunter World. That's right, not Final Fantasy, not Resident Evil, and not Dragon Quest. With Elden Ring, From Software will bring together two absolute masters of their craft, Hidetaka Miyazaki and George R.R. Martin. And given all that momentum from Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and the frickin' guy who wrote Game of Thrones, Elden Ring will likely be the biggest From Software title of all time. I mean, everything is just lining up perfectly for them, and to me, this is a prime example of a cross-gen title that Sony should go out of their way to feature at this show, because at the end of the day, what matters is excitement, and this is an exciting game that could sell gangbusters on the PS5 specifically, if both From Software and Sony play their cards right. The Demon's Souls remake would be the perfect appetizer for what is shaping up to be another From Software classic in Elden Ring. And with that, I have my bingo card, and we are going to wrap it up for today. I hope after watching this video, you are all as hyped as I am for this event. Sony has been holding back for a while now, and I expect them to absolutely unleash the megatons during this show with some massive announcements and gameplay demos. We'll see how I did after Sony's big PS5 event wraps up, at which point I'll put together a follow-up video recapping the show and giving my thoughts and hype levels coming out of it. If you like this video and want to see more coverage of the next-gen hype train as we get closer and closer to the big holiday launch of the new machines, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. As we enter June and what would usually be E3 time, there is no doubt we are going to get megaton after megaton over the course of the summer. Either way, I have a number of fun videos currently in the works, and of course I'll be breaking down the new Cyberpunk 2077 footage that will be revealed on June 25th, which is sure to bring the hype, and you definitely won't want to miss that. But until next time, thanks so much for watching everyone, and take care.